The story begins as Soo-hyung Chul contacts emergency services. He names Dungwori Building as the site of his experiment. An emergency operator asks him to repeat that announcement. Sa corrects her, revealing the experiment is terrorism. He has already tested the pathogen inside his body. Sa claims that dangerous self-experiment succeeded. Professor Han waits inside the Chain's bio conference. Se-jeong arrives while Han checks their invitation. Their tense exchange reveals an old personal familiarity. Han keeps assisting despite Se-jeong's obvious irritation. Han and Se-jeong continue walking through the lobby. Se-jeong glances back during their tense conversation. She turns toward Han with visible concern. Se-jeong faces him before they separate briefly. Han pauses alone as Se-jeong moves ahead. Chain's bio CEO Kang Woo-cheol takes the conference stage. The audience welcomes Kang before his research becomes dangerous. Professor Han still protects Se-jeong 10 years after divorce. Han believes Se-jeong's isolation leaves her without dependable friends. Her uncompromising choices repeatedly turn powerful people against her. Se-jeong questions why Han keeps managing her career. Han insists his current wife also worries about Se-jeong. Kang describes collective intelligence as Chain's bio's main business. His presentation links biological colonies with shared intelligence. Kang calls collective intelligence a force driving evolution. Kang introduces slime mold as a model for shared learning. The organisms improve by exchanging information across their colony. Their network finds efficient paths toward available food. Even simple organisms can learn without becoming multicellular. They can also preserve information after learning it. Se-jeong attended because her invitation contained a private message. The unexplained note makes Se-jeong seek its sender. Chain's bio aims to reconnect damaged nerves. The experimental chip transmits information across severed tissue. That success suggests direct human connections may follow. Kang's chip helps damaged nerves carry information again. Chain's bio tests the device on a paralyzed rat. The rat moves after its severed nerves reconnect. Kang hopes the technology can reach the human brain. Direct mind-to-mind information transfer may eventually become possible. Hyun-hee spends her rare vacation visiting Hyun-suk at work. She wants fresh air after endless computer work. Hyun-hee invites her younger brother camping next vacation. Hyun-suk agrees they should take the trip together. The siblings plan to buy camping equipment together. Kang recognizes Han as the professor approaching him. Han introduces Professor Kwon Se-jeong to Kang. Se-jeong thanks Kang for inviting her to the conference. She immediately asks about the note on her invitation. Kang postpones the explanation when an urgent call arrives. Officer Lee Bong-suk identifies himself from counter-terrorism. Lee asks whether Kang knows Soo-hyung Chul. Kang leaves Se-jeong and Han to answer privately. Kang asks why counter-terrorism is searching for Soo. Lee reveals Soo threatened the conference building. Kang admits he saw Soo at the conference. Lee reveals Soo threatened the conference building. Kang admits seeing someone resembling Soo that day. Distance prevented Kang from identifying the man with certainty. Lee orders Kang to report another sighting immediately. Sa leaves the corridor before Kang can react. Se-jeong notices Soo crossing the executive hallway. Sa continues alone toward Kang's private office. Se-jeong follows, still seeking the invitation's sender. Soo enters while Kang waits inside alone. Sutha mocks Kang's presentation after entering his office. He reminds Kang who originally developed the research. Kang dismisses Soo as an unstable failure. Soo recalls Kang praising the work before stealing it. He condemns Kang for profiting from a rejected researcher. Sa calls the outbreak humanity's rebirth, not extinction. He promises perfect communication without jealousy or suspicion. Sa believes shared minds will prevent senseless human losses. He chooses Kang as his link to new humanity. Kang finally recognizes Soo's experiment has already begun. Sa closes on Kang inside the private room. Kang falls as Soo begins the infection. The pathogen overtakes Kang before help arrives. Sa escapes while Kang collapses behind him. Police discover the scene moments after Soo leaves. Han's daughter calls while he remains inside Dungwori. His wife needs the passport for their coming move. Han has accepted a teaching opportunity at UC Irvine. He expects his family may stay in America. Se-jeong sees his job help as a final favor. Security announces a complete lockdown across Dungwori. Employees begin evacuating shoppers from every public area. The crowd surges toward exits before understanding the danger. Se-jeong realizes the parking route may already be blocked. Han urges Se-jeong to find someone dependable. Shoppers scatter as infected people enter the mall. A fallen victim redirects the fleeing crowd. Hyun-suk directs survivors toward the restaurant refuge. The fleeing group reaches temporary cover behind glass. Strangers become one trapped group inside the restaurant. Hyun-suk checks whether Hyun-hee was injured during evacuation. Officer Lee identifies the emergency as a terrorist attack. Lee proves he entered the building as a policeman. Counterterrorism received Su's warning before the infection spread. Lee identifies the attackers as people changed by infection. The infected discover survivors hiding behind the glass. Se-jeong studies their movements instead of panicking. A bloodied victim hammers against the sealed entrance. Others gather after receiving the same target information. The survivors retreat as the collective presses closer. The survivors notice students stranded outside their refuge. They demand action before the infected reach them. Waiting safely would mean watching the students die. Se-jeong sees nearby signs as possible decoys. Hyun-hee offers her wheelchair to strengthen the lure. The injured group prepares despite their limited mobility. A rescuer moves the wheelchair toward the danger. The human-shaped sign draws infected away from students. The opening lets rescuers reach the trapped group. Se-jeong opens the route before the lure fails. Kyu-song goes back when another survivor remains exposed. The group calls Kyu-song as danger closes around him. Kyu-song falls before reaching the sealed refuge. The infection overtakes him after his successful rescue. His loss forces the remaining survivors to retreat. News confirms Dungwori has become a terrorism zone. Health authorities impose full quarantine around the building. Officials describe the pathogen as extremely contagious. The Disease Control Agency begins searching for vaccines. SWAT completes deployment behind a double barricade. Kyu-song's daughter answers his interrupted phone connection. She calls for her father when someone else answers. The survivor explains Kyu-song saved several people. His family demands to know whom he rescued. The broken call leaves Kyu-song's fate painfully unresolved. The group learns infection spreads through biting. Quarantine prevents rescue teams from entering Dungwori. Officer Lee identifies one possible route to survival. Sus's claimed vaccine makes finding him essential. Capturing Su could finally bring rescuers inside. Se-jeong connects Su with CEO Kang Woo-cheol. She saw Su for near Kang's third-floor private room. The survivors recognize Se-jeong as the conference professor. Su followed Kang inside after the presentation. Reaching the third floor becomes their next obstacle. Se-jeong sees the infected evolving through information exchange. Their earliest movements remain primitive and animal-like. They soon stand upright and identify humans better. Se-jeong explains communication does not require spoken language. She compares their network with ant pheromone trails. Collective intelligence may accept deliberately false information. Ant colonies sometimes follow corrupted signals into deadly circles. A false trail can trap an entire colony. One survivor can carry a distinctive decoy odor. Everyone else must remain still beneath another scent. An older survivor volunteers to carry the decoy. He rejects doubts based only on his age. The volunteer once won national track and field gold. He later coached track athletes before eventually retiring. The survivors coordinate their counter-network through group messages. The coach openly challenges the infected to follow him. The scented coach draws the collective through shops. He runs while infected victims follow together. The distraction lets survivors reach the needed supplies. The coach returns with the perfume they requested. Se-jeong requests antifreeze for the opposing odor. A survivor delivers the antifreeze to the group. Its powerful smell distinguishes them from the decoy. The group recoils but accepts Se-jeong's method. Everyone prepares to test the contradictory scents together. The group coats everyone with the opposing odor. The decoy keeps infected attention away from them. Survivors carry injured companions into the scented route. They hold still while infected victims approach. The collective passes without recognizing the disguised group. Se-jeong confirms the survivors can move safely now. The contradictory scent buys them a temporary opening. The group moves before the infected can adapt. A final warning sends the survivors rushing onward. News asks how a renowned scientist became a terrorist. The broadcast begins examining Se-jeong Chul's background. Se ranked first throughout his university education. His fungal biocomputing thesis reached the journal Science. Science publication made Se exceptionally promising. His later terrorism therefore shocks the watching nation. His terrorism now holds the entire nation hostage. A reporter begins examining details from Se's past. Se's father taught applied biology. He worked at Se-jeong University. An anonymous tip triggered an internal report. The report alleged misuse of laboratory research funds. Those allegations spread widely through the national press. Professor Se died by suicide 4 weeks later. Reporters question whether the scandal motivated the attack. Yet Se has made no demands supporting revenge. The survivors search Kang's stained third-floor corridor. They discover Se hiding beyond the private rooms. Officer Lee moves forward before Se can escape. Lee arrests Se for the Dungwori attack. Se greets his captors without showing fear. Se recognizes Se-jeong designed the water disruption. He immediately calls their countermeasure a mistake. Water evaporates too quickly to remain protective. Airborne moisture may spread the network even faster. Se-jeong realizes Se understands the organism better. Officer Lee says rescue will meet them upstairs. The team cannot expose rescuers to infected victims. Lee still treats infected attackers as patients. Delivering Se to the roof could save everyone. Hyun-suk identifies a hidden cargo elevator nearby. Professor Gong joins the government investigation team. The scientists confirm this was Suho's research laboratory. Secretly continued experiments after leaving Chain's Bio. Professor Gong works as a biotechnology specialist. The scientists prepare to follow SWAT inside. The cargo elevator appears 5 minutes from safety. The doors unexpectedly open before reaching the roof. Se escapes during the infected elevator ambush. The infected imitate the survivors' elevator behavior. Se-jeong asks Hyun-suk about a control room. CCTV could reveal Suha's movements in real time. Hyun-suk locates the room at basement level 2. The group redirects downstairs to track Se. SWAT discovers Se built an entire hidden laboratory. The cage test animals remain alive inside. Gong questions what Se was testing on them. One opened enclosure warns that something escaped. An infected animal charges the entering SWAT team. More animals swarm through the laboratory gunfire. A violent monkey corners Gong during the attack. The infected animals suddenly stop moving together. Gong notices a marked animal among the casualties. Survivors enter a garage crowded with infected victims. An infected person crawls beneath their parked cover. The group protects an injured survivor while hiding. The group searches CCTV for Suha's floor. Somehow knows what the survivors already did. Se-jeong suspects infected eyes are feeding him information. The cameras finally reveal Se's current location. Se finds the infected Kang through CCTV. He reminds Kang about becoming humanity's link. Se deliberately asks Kang to bite him. Kang's bite connects Se with the collective. The survivors watch Se change after the bite. Every infected victim suddenly stops moving at once. Se-jeong suspects they received completely new information. The pause may last only several minutes. Se-jeong turns the network pause into an opening. The group rushes towards Se before victims recover. One survivor remains behind to monitor CCTV. The monitor promises to guide everyone by text. The group crosses corridors while victims remain frozen. Se-jeong finds Se before the network awakens. The survivors drag Se into temporary cover. They move their captive into a safer nearby room. Soph makes the infected withdraw from the survivors. He recognizes their attempt to block his sight. Kang's bite apparently linked Se with everyone. The survivors switch entirely to silent text. Hyun-suk insists they must return for his sister. Others argue Se already guarantees their escape. The group resists, returning toward the control room. A selfish survivor tells Hyun-suk to abandon Hyun-hee. CCTV shows infected victims breaching the route. The separated survivors face another garage attack. Hyun-hee watches the infected close through cameras. She calls Hyun-suk before losing the room. Hyun-suk calls while trying to reach Hyun-hee. He realizes her directions avoid the basement. Hyun-hee guides him back toward the group. She orders her brother to survive without her. Hyun-hee admits the infected already trapped her. She regrets they never took their camping trip. Hyun-hee ends the call before he returns. Hyun-sok collapses after watching the final attack. Gong's brother remains trapped inside the quarantined building. The minister wants Gong to front his announcement. Gong recognizes he wants permission to kill victims. She insists their medical conclusions remain speculative. One marked monkey stopped every other animal. Investigators initially call it the first infected. Officials expect killing the first human will work. They demand CCTV evidence identifying that person. Authorities receive access to Dungwori's recorded cameras. The team rewinds footage to the outbreak's beginning. Their search targets the very first infected person. Investigators begin reviewing every relevant building camera together. The survivors follow emergency stairs toward the roof. Officer Lee kills an infected victim during attack. Others remind Lee that infected people remain patients. The infected overwhelm Lee while survivors retreat. Lee falls as the remaining group escapes. Survivors pass bodies after losing their officer. They carry captive Soo into a warehouse. The group communicates silently because Suo hears everything. They decide rescuers must come to the warehouse. Se-jeong volunteers to recover Lee's abandoned police phone. Investigators locate the outbreak's first camera evidence. Recorded footage clearly identifies CEO Kang Woo-chol. Authorities declare Kang the first infected person. They immediately begin tracking Kang's current building location. Officer Lee never returns from the failed stairwell escape. So-eun survived worse fear from daily bullying. A former bully finally apologizes to her. The student accepts responsibility for everything she did. So-eun demands a proper apology after survival. She reaches the phone after crossing alone. Se-jeong identifies herself to Police Commissioner Park. She confirms Soo remains confined inside the warehouse. Se-jeong orders rescue teams toward their location. Command divides rescuers into two operational teams. The other team moves to eliminate Kang. One team secures Soo as the possible vaccine. She gives the exact 32nd floor warehouse location. Armed teams advance through separate building corridors. Armed rescuers announce themselves outside the warehouse door. The trapped students celebrate before seeing the attacker. An infected woman bursts into the rescue. The renewed attack separates survivors from rescuers. The strike team finally sights infected Kang. Soldiers confirm Kang died during their targeted strike. Command briefly believes the crisis is over. The infected rise again after Kang's death. Hyun-sok fights through anyone guarding captive Soo. Se-jeong intervenes before the captive is killed. Se-jeong stops Hyun-sok from killing captive Soo immediately. Hyun-sok blames everyone for abandoning his sister. Se offers to fulfill Hyun-sok's desperate wish. Hyun-sok recognizes Hyun-hee among the controlled infected victims. Se controls Hyun-hee before her horrified brother. Se presents her condition as an improvement. Se-jeong realizes Soo secretly sent her conference invitation. Se says her actions inspired his infected children. His father once begged Se-jeong for understanding. Se-jeong explains the laboratory accounting was misunderstood. Se-jeong asks whether revenge caused the entire attack. Se immediately rejects revenge as his purpose. He blames imperfect communication for his father's death. Se believes connected minds can prevent future tragedy. Se-fa mocks the freedom of remaining separate. He asks whether Se-jeong can endure isolation. Se-jeong rejects his right to erase individuality. She tells Se to become the outcast himself. The rescue team locates Soo during confrontation. Soldiers report securing Soo, their supposed vaccine. Command orders Soo withdrawn from the building immediately. The team abandons Se-jeong despite her danger. Han relays Gong's new interpretation to Se-jeong. Killing the first infected was their mistaken theory. The marked monkey was not infected first. It controlled every other animal in Soo's network. Han demands Soo's immediate elimination before extraction. Killing the controller should stop every infected attacker. Officials fear public anger over destroying the vaccine. Han understands Soo's warning about becoming hated. Se-jeong questions whether Soo is truly a vaccine. Another survivor asks what Se-jeong personally believes now. The final choice belongs to Se-jeong alone. She prepares to act without institutional approval. Command reports Se is leaving quarantine safely. Gong's team warns Soo must be eliminated. The minister demands proof before killing their vaccine. Authorities begin lifting lockdown around the Dungwari perimeter, summons infected victims toward his transport. The collective follows his vehicle beyond quarantine. The infected crowd breaches Dungwari's main barricade. The minister abandons headquarters as containment collapses. Se-jeong learns Soo escaped during headquarters evacuation. She asks investigators to track his location. CCTV places Soo on the main Sinsok Street. Se-jeong follows live directions through the city. Se-jeong drives past burning streets after Soo. Her car closes on the controller's vehicle. Infected crowds flood intersections around the chase. Soo gathers his colony around the transport. Suth notices Se-jeong covered herself in another substance. She enters the infected crowd without retreating. The disguise prevents the collective from targeting her. Se-jeong reaches Soo through his living shield. The infected begin reverting after Se-jeong's disruption. Suh watches his coordinated network stop obeying. Fire isolates Soo from the collapsing collective. Soo cannot stop the final breakdown around him. Se-jeong survives while Soo burns nearby alone. The controller's body disappears inside the flames. CCTV confirms infected groups stopping across locations. Survivors emerge after coordinated violence finally ends. Han asks whether the shutdown worked elsewhere. Investigators confirm coordinated infected activity has finally stopped. Se-jeong knows the possible vaccine is gone. Han promises to testify publicly beside Se-jeong. Han offers to share every consequence with her. Se-jeong says hatred no longer frightens her. They accept the difficult work still ahead. Finally, the ruined streets fall quiet around them.